We're tracking two cities, very different recoveries this morning from the massive blizzard. In Washington, D.C., the federal government and schools are still closed 3 days after the storm. While in New York City, life has largely returned to normal. Both cities received similar amounts of snow. Kris and Cleave is in Washington and David Begnaud is in New York to show us why there's such a contrast between the two cities. Let's start in New York. David, good morning.
Charlie, good morning. They're still working to clean the streets here in Queens where we are this morning. Residents are frustrated by the city's slow response, so most people are doing one of these with a shovel to make it quicker. You wouldn't want to be the guy driving that car trying to get out. They've gotten 25 inches of snow here in Queens. That's the average for the year, and they got it all at once. New York is a city that never sleeps and barely flinches in a blizzard. Before there was even a dusting, city officials had tapped into the $77.5 million annual snow budget and deployed 579 salt spreaders. At the heart of the storm Saturday, New York banned travel and shut down some trains. But that didn't stop some New Yorkers from finding creative ways to get around. By Sunday, most main streets were clear, and Monday, it was back to work, with people ignoring the snow and each other as usual.
I know other cities struggled, and a lot of them are not blessed with the kind of public employees, the number and the quality and the highly trained public employees that we have.
I think the struggle the mayor was talking about here may have well been Washington, D.C. Kris and Cleave, anything back to normal there yet?
Well, it depends on where you are. Right here is not back to normal. Federal workers are not working today. That's not normal, but it's a good thing they're not on the roads because those who are finding it slow going because of the snow removal process. And look, there's a lot of snow on the ground here, but D.C. officials say you have to keep in mind they haven't dealt with a storm that dumped this much snow in a single going since 1922.
When you look at Manhattan, got more snow than D.C., and they, in much quicker order, we're back to schools in session, roads being clear. Is it an unfair comparison between Manhattan?
It's a total unfair comparison.
That's because these two cities couldn't be more different. With a population of only 659,000, D.C. is significantly smaller than the 8.5 million people who live in New York. It also has a fraction of the Big Apple's cash. Washington, D.C. has a budget of $6.2 million a year for snow cleanup, 1/12 of what New York can spend. This weekend, the district had just 137 plows working on 4,400 miles of road. The metro was closed, and people had to find their cars before they could even start digging them out. Schools have been closed, and novice sledders became Capitol grounds hazards.
You all right?
But at least one D.C. lawn was clean, and its resident politician back at work.
Mr. President, what did you think of snowpocalypse?
Boston's mayor, a city that's certainly no stranger to snow, says he feels bad for the district and offered to send some snow plows. There's some pavement right here. You just can't, get the car out because of the snowbank here. One thing I can tell you, though, in April, we do get cherry blossoms, Gail.
All right. We know they're working round the clock. Thanks a lot, Kris. DC saying, let's be clear, compare apples to apples. It's a very different situation. But they're working around the clock. They're working around the clock. They'll get it. Thank you again, Kris. Washington, you're in Washington, and David, you're in New York. We thank you both.